Tomorrow marks the first National Day of Remembrance for the victims of the Quebec City mosque shooting. It was 5 years ago that a gunman walked into the Islamic Cultural Center there and killed 6 men. 19 others were injured. Last summer, members of the Afsal family were killed while out for an evening walk in London, Ontario. So what is Canada doing right now to deal with these kinds of crimes? Ahmed Hussen is the Minister for Housing and Diversity and Inclusion. He is in Toronto. Sir, thank you for making time for us.
Thank you for having me.
What signal are you hoping, sir, that this first National Day of Remembrance will send?
Well, obviously, it is a response to the community's call to have a national day for remembrance and action against Islamophobia and all other forms of hatred. It is obviously a response to the community. I was there during the funerals of the folks that we lost in Quebec City in that shooting, and I joined Prime Minister Justin Trudeau in that funeral. And we looked those families in the eye, and we promised them action. And in addition to designating January 29th as the National Day for Remembrance and Action Against Islamophobia and other forms of religious hatred, we are also moving forward with making a commitment to appoint a special representative to combat Islamophobia in Canada.
What will that person do, sir?
They will conduct research, they will come up with recommendations, they will hold government agencies accountable, and they will monitor Islamophobia across the country. But exactly what that role will look like and the supporting mechanisms around that individual will also be determined by the community. One of the best ways to make sure that the Muslim Canadian community has confidence in both the process and the result is to talk to them, to engage them. Even the role of the special representative came up from the National Summit on Islamophobia. It's recommendation number 19. So as we move forward, we got to make sure that we talk to Muslim Canadians from coast to coast to coast so that we get both the process and the result right.
A few days ago, leaders at the Quebec City Mosque, where that shooting took place, of course, sent letters to the Quebec government and the federal government on handguns, calling for a handgun ban. We know that the issue has certainly come up before, but what is the current state of that conversation? Because you said we need to listen to the community. Well, this is what the community is saying.
Absolutely. And, when it comes to this issue, keeping Canadians safe from gun violence is number one. It's the number one priority for us, which is why we've done more than any other government in a generation to advance gun control. We're the government that has brought in a ban on military-style assault weapons. We obviously have taken action to prohibit assault-style rifles that have been used in tragedies like the École Polytechnique, the Dawson College, and the Quebec mosque shooting. We've also committed to reintroducing legislation as soon as possible to complete the prohibition and make the buyback mandatory. And we know that there's more work to be done, and we'll keep working with all our partners to keep our communities safe from gun violence.
The tragedy of the Afsal family, just one of the more recent and certainly one of the most horrific acts when we talk about hate crimes, potential hate crimes and Islamophobia. There have been big and small incidents, as you know. They're not going away, is what I'm saying. And just this week, as you know, your colleague, Transport Minister Omar Al-Gabra, was called a, quote, terrorist in online comments related to the protest convoy that we've been talking about. And many members, of the Muslim community across this country have said your government is not doing enough, that there is a lot of talk, but also that federal action, they haven't seen enough from the government. What more do you want to tell them about what you're doing tonight? Because a lot of people
I think
still
it's
don't
fair
feel
to say
safe.
that. Well, first of all, the fact of the matter is every Canadian should feel safe in their community, in their places of worship, in community centers. It's also fair to say that as a government, we've done a lot, but there's absolutely more work to be done, whether it is making sure that we establish a victims fund, a compensation fund for victims of hate crime, whether it is strengthening our criminal code, our Canadian human rights regulations, and other mechanisms to make sure that we are fighting hate speech and incitement to violence against religious and racialized minorities. This is real. I mean, I remember when the Quebec City mosque shooting happened, and then followed, a few years later by the mosque shooting in Christchurch, New Zealand. This is a real impact on communities. And I remember going into a mosque every time after that and thinking, could this happen to this congregation? And, having to worry about violence in a place of worship, in a community center, in today's Canada, is something that I think we need to reflect on, and we need to take very seriously and take all the action necessary. So in addition to the Victims Compensation Fund, the appointment or moving forward to appoint a special representative to combat Islamophobia, we're also investing more than ever before to make sure that we support communities on the ground and organizations that are doing the necessary work, they're doing the heavy lifting to contribute to community resiliency. But more work needs to be done. And we heard very clearly after we hosted the National Summit on Islamophobia, we heard from the largest collection of Muslim Canadian organizations a number of recommendations on the path forward, and we'll continue to implement those recommendations to make sure that Muslim Canadians and all Canadians in every community feel safe in their community.
Minister Hussen, many Muslim Canadians do want your government to do more, although it is not a federal bill, obviously, Bill 21. They feel that it's emblematic of the kind of hate that they're facing. It's something the federal government has chosen not to intervene in at this point. Will we see that change?
Well, we've said very clearly that obviously we don't agree with Bill 21. I believe that that we have constitutional rights in Canada, including freedom of religion, and people should not be targeted because of their religious beliefs. And we've said it very clearly that we're obviously keeping a very close eye on the process, the judicial process that is taking place. Many Quebecers oppose this, and they're taking action as they should through the judicial processes that exist to protect the rights, the charter rights that we all enjoy. And we're monitoring that process to make sure that if and when it is appropriate to do so, we intervene.
Minister Hussen, we will leave it there. I know tomorrow will be a difficult day for many people across the country. Thank you for your time.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Vashi Capellos, host of Power in Politics. See more of our show by subscribing to the CBC News channel or click the link for another video.